First contact. The Carina Nebula blazed against the void of space, its swirling clouds of gas and dust painting a celestial masterpiece that had captivated humanity for centuries. Now, at its edges, the UES Hyperion held position, its quantum sensors probing the darkness for answers to a mystery that had puzzled Earth's finest minds for months. Captain Elena Rodriguez stood at the bridge's observation window, her dark eyes fixed on the nebula's shifting colors. Behind her, the bridge crew worked in focused silence, broken only by the soft chatter of status reports and the gentle hum of the ship's systems. Captain, new readings from the anomaly, Lieutenant James Chen announced, his fingers dancing across his holographic interface. The energy signature is evolving. Elena turned from the window, her movement deliberate in the ship's artificial gravity. Evolving how, Lieutenant? The patterns becoming more complex. It's like. Chen paused, double-checking his readings. It's like it's responding to our presence. The mathematical sequences we detected earlier are reorganizing themselves into new configurations. The discovery had started 3 months ago, when deep space probes detected an artificial structure hidden within the nebula's outer reaches. Initial scans suggested it was ancient, predating human civilization by tens of thousands of years. But unlike other alien ruins humanity had found in its expansion across the stars, this one was active. Put it on the main display, Elena ordered, moving to the center of the bridge. The holographic projection materialized before her, showing cascading strings of complex mathematical equations and patterns that seemed to twist in impossible ways. Dr. Sarah Patel, the ship's xenorchaeologist, stepped forward from her station. Captain, these patterns, they're similar to theoretical models of fifth-dimensional mathematics we've been working on. But this is far more advanced than anything we've achieved. Helena nodded, studying the display. After a century of space exploration, humanity had encountered plenty of evidence of alien civilizations, but all had been long dead or abandoned. This was different. This was active. This was waiting. Status of the structure, she asked. Unchanged, Captain, responded Commander Michael O'Neill from Tactical. Still reading as approximately 15 kilometers in length. Geometric design suggesting artificial construction. Energy readings are steady but significant. Whatever it is, it's got enough power output to run a small star system. Elena had fought in the Mars Rebellion and seen her share of combat, but this situation made her more nervous than any battlefield. Humanity's first potential contact with a living alien civilization would define their species' future. The weight of that responsibility pressed down on her shoulders like a physical force. Dr. Patel, your analysis. The xenorchaeologist gestured at the display, expanding one section of the mathematical patterns. These sequences aren't random. They're building on themselves, becoming more complex in response to our scanning attempts. It's like a test. A test. Elena raised an eyebrow. Yes, each sequence seems to be waiting for a response before generating the next level of complexity. It's not just broadcasting. It's engaging in a dialogue. Elena considered their options. First contact protocols were clear, but they'd been written with the assumption that humanity would be meeting aliens at a similar technological level. This structure predated human civilization by millennia. Its creators, if they still existed, would be so advanced that conventional protocols might be meaningless. Lieutenant Chen, can we respond to these patterns? Send back solutions to the mathematical sequences. Chen nodded slowly. I think so, Captain. The quantum computer should be able to process and generate appropriate responses. Do it, Elena ordered, but keep our defensive systems at full readiness. Commander O'Neill, I want weapons hot but powered down. Let's be prepared but not threatening. As Chen input the commands, the response was immediate. The structure's energy signature pulsed, and new patterns flooded their sensors. But these were different. They were transforming into recognizable symbols. Captain, Chen's voice was barely a whisper. I'm detecting language formation. It's It's translating itself into Earth languages. The bridge fell silent as words appeared on their main display. Chiji Aldoran of Earth. UAHVPASSEDTA. Elena felt the weight of history pressing down on her. This moment would change everything. Humanity's understanding of the universe, their place in it, and possibly their very survival. She took a deep breath, straightened her uniform, and made her decision. Lieutenant Chen, begin recording for Earth Command. Commander O'Neill, plot an approach vector to the structure. Dr. Patel, prepare your first contact protocols. She paused, looking at each of her crew members in turn. Whatever we find in there will change everything. Let's make sure we're ready for it. The Hyperion's engines hummed to life, pushing the massive ship forward into the nebulous swirling gases. As they drew closer to the ancient structure, none of them could shake the feeling that they were crossing a threshold from which humanity would never return. The warning. The interior of the architect's structure defied conventional physics. Captain Rodriguez and her team walked through corridors that seemed to fold through dimensions, guided by streams of living light that flowed like liquid through the metallic walls. Dr. Patel's instruments had given up trying to map their location 20 minutes ago. Their guide, a being that called itself Interface, moved ahead of them with fluid grace. Its form constantly shifted between states of matter, sometimes appearing solid, sometimes resembling a constellation of stars bound together in roughly humanoid shape. Your species adapts quickly, Interface observed, its thoughts materializing directly in their minds. Most races require significant psychological preparation before entering spaces that exist in more than 3 dimensions. We've had practice with the unexpected. Elena responded diplomatically, though her hand never strayed far from her sidearm. Years of space exploration had taught humanity that wonder and danger often walked hand in hand. They entered what Interface had termed the archive core, and Elena heard Dr. Patel gasp. The chamber stretched infinitely in all directions, filled with floating displays showing the history of countless civilizations. Streams of data flowed through the air like aurora borealis, automatically translating themselves into human-readable formats. This is the accumulated knowledge of 300 million years of galactic civilization, Interface explained. Every species that achieved spaceflight, every technology that was developed, every culture that bloomed and faded, all preserved here. Commander O'Neill stepped forward, his tactical training drawing his attention to specific displays. These are weapon schematics, defense systems far beyond anything we've conceived. Yes, Interface's form dimmed slightly. We had hoped to wait longer before sharing this part of our legacy, but time grows short. The threat we feared has awakened ahead of schedule. Elena felt her spine stiffen. What threat? Instead of answering directly, Interface gestured, and the entire chamber transformed. They found themselves standing in what appeared to be a recreation of an ancient battle. Massive ships of obviously different technological origins fought against a force that made Elena's blood run cold, vessels that seemed to be made of living darkness, consuming everything they touched. We call them the Void Hunters, Interface said quietly. They emerged from the spaces between galaxies 50 million years ago. At first, we thought them merely another spacefaring species, different but perhaps comprehensible. We were wrong. The scene shifted, showing planets being consumed, entire civilizations falling. They don't simply destroy, they consume. Knowledge, technology, life itself, all becomes part of their collective. The more they consume, the stronger they become, the more they learn, the harder they are to fight. That's why you went into hibernation, Dr. Patel realized. Not just to hide, but to deny them your knowledge. Correct. The horrific images faded. We were the most advanced civilization in the galaxy. Our technology in their hands would have made them unstoppable. So we hid ourselves and our knowledge, scattered our people across countless hidden stations like this one, and waited. Waited for what? Elena asked, though she suspected she knew the answer. For a species with the potential to succeed where we failed, one that could take our knowledge and use it in ways we never imagined, one that could think differently enough to find solutions we never saw. Interface turned its luminescent gaze fully on them. We waited for humanity. Elena exchanged looks with her team. Why us? What makes humans so special? You adapt. You innovate. Where other species perfect a technology and stick to it, humans constantly seek new approaches. We've watched your development. Interface's form solidified slightly, becoming more clearly humanoid. But most importantly, you understand something that most species never grasp: the power of diversity. Your greatest achievements come not from consensus, but from debate, from conflict, from the clash of different viewpoints and approaches. This is what makes you unique. This is what makes you dangerous. The Void Hunters have breached the dormant sensors we left in the Andromeda Galaxy, Interface continued. They will reach the Milky Way in less than 5 Earth years. We offer you our knowledge, our technology, everything we have preserved. But understand, this is not a gift. It is a burden, a responsibility. Elena straightened her shoulders, feeling the weight of the moment. How do we begin? Interface's form brightened. First, you must understand what you face. The Void Hunters are not simply an alien species. They are a cosmic horror, a force that exists to consume and corrupt. They cannot be reasoned with, cannot be appeased. They must be stopped, or everything. Not just humanity, not just this galaxy, but all of existence will fall into eternal darkness. The chamber shifted again, displaying complex technological schematics. We will teach you everything we know. But you must do what we could not: find a way to defeat them. Our linear thinking, our rigid adherence to proven methods, led to our failure. Your chaos, your creativity, your illogical leaps of intuition, these may be the galaxy's last hope. Elena looked at her team. Dr. Patel already engrossed in the scientific displays, Commander O'Neill analyzing the tactical data, Lieutenant Chen working to interface their systems with the architect's technology, each of them approaching the problem from different angles, different perspectives. Maybe Interface was right. Maybe humanity's greatest strength was its diversity of thought. Send the signal to Earth Command, she ordered. Tell them everything has changed, and we need to prepare for war. The Forge of Stars. 3 months after first contact with the architects, Earth's orbital shipyards had transformed beyond recognition. Ancient alien technology merged with human innovation, creating facilities that existed partially in higher dimensions. Ships under construction hung in space like constellations, their quantum-forged hulls gleaming with possibilities that defied conventional physics. In the primary research facility aboard Orbital Station Nova, Dr. Sarah Patel stood before a holographic display that filled an entire wall. Around her, a team of scientists from every nation on Earth worked in synchronized chaos, each bringing their unique perspective to the challenge before them. The problem, she explained to the assembled military leaders, isn't that the architect's technology is too advanced for us to understand. It's that they only ever looked at it one way. They built perfect, elegant solutions, and that's exactly why they failed. She gestured, and the display showed a comparison between an architect weapon system and its human modification. Look at what happened when we gave their designs to engineers from different cultural backgrounds. The Indian team integrated philosophical concepts of cyclical existence. The Japanese engineers applied principles from origami. The Nigerian team introduced elements from their traditional mathematics. Admiral Chen, the newly appointed head of Earth's defense forces, leaned forward. And the results? We've improved their weapons efficiency by 300%, not because we're smarter than the architects, but because we're messier, more chaotic. We try things they'd never consider because they're too inelegant. Across the solar system, humanity's preparation continued at a frantic pace. The Mars shipyard specialized in creating hybrid vessels that combined architect precision with human unpredictability. The Jupiter facilities focused on developing defensive systems that operated on principles the Void Hunters had never encountered. Even the asteroid belt had been transformed into a vast production facility, mining resources from dimensional spaces that hadn't existed before human engineers decided they should. Captain Rodriguez, now Fleet Commander Rodriguez, coordinated the efforts from the expanded Hyperion, which served as a testbed for new technologies. The key, she explained during a global briefing, is that we're not trying to match the Void Hunter's strength. We're changing the rules of the game entirely. She highlighted a demonstration where a small fighter craft, piloted by a Vietnamese ace, executed maneuvers that should have torn it apart. The architects built their ships to be perfect within the laws of physics. We're building ours to bend those laws. Each ship is unique, reflecting the creativity and cultural background of its designers and crew. The approach wasn't without its risks. Several early prototypes had been lost, their crews saved only by emergency dimensional anchors. But with each failure came new understanding, new approaches, new possibilities that the architects had never imagined. Commander O'Neill, leading the tactical development team, had introduced another revolutionary concept. The Void Hunters operate as a collective, sharing all knowledge instantly. It's their strength, but it's also a weakness. They expect opponents to behave logically, to follow predictable patterns. So we're doing the opposite. The tactical displays showed ships that could reconfigure themselves mid-battle, weapons that operated on principles that changed randomly, defense systems that drew inspiration from Earth's most chaotic natural phenomena. Every vessel in the growing fleet was different, each incorporating elements from humanity's diverse cultural and intellectual heritage. They'll expect us to fight like the architects, O'Neill explained, with perfect coordination, perfect strategy. Instead, we'll give them organized chaos. Every ship, every battle group will operate independently, creatively. They'll face thousands of different approaches simultaneously. But the greatest breakthrough came from an unexpected source. Dr. Maya Patel, Sarah's teenage daughter, had been visiting the station during a school field trip when she made an observation that changed everything. Looking at the architect data cores, she asked a simple question. Why does everyone assume the spaces between dimensions are empty? That question led to the development of the Void Lance, a weapon that didn't try to fight the Void Hunters with energy or matter, but turned their own domain against them. Initial tests showed promising results, though the power requirements were enormous. As the deadline approached, humanity's fleet grew. Each ship was a unique combination of architect technology and human creativity, representing the best of both species' approaches. The vessels were as diverse as humanity itself, some sleek and precise, others seemingly chaotic in design, all capable of things that the original architects would have considered impossible. 4 months until projected contact, Interface announced during one briefing, its form flickering with what seemed like excitement. Your preparations are unexpected, fascinating. You've taken our technology in directions we never imagined. That's what humans do. Elena responded, watching as another group of ships emerged from the orbital forges. We imagine the impossible, then we make it work. Even if it's messy, even if it's not elegant, we find a way. The architects seemed to consider this. Perhaps that is why we failed. We sought perfection when we should have embraced chaos. As the final preparations continued, Elena couldn't help but feel a mix of pride and apprehension. Humanity was about to face its greatest challenge, armed with technology they barely understood, following plans that defied conventional logic. But looking at the fleet assembling in space, each ship a unique expression of human creativity and determination, she felt something else too. Hope. The coming storm. They arrived ahead of schedule. The first signs came from the outer Oort cloud monitoring stations, quantum disturbances that rippled through space-time like waves in a dark ocean. Within hours, the void between stars began to warp and twist, forming patterns that hurt the human mind to observe. Fleet Commander Rodriguez stood on the Hyperion's dimensional bridge, watching as the tactical displays showed humanity's forces moving into position. The combined fleet represented every nation on Earth, every culture, every approach to warfare humanity had ever conceived, enhanced by architect technology and human innovation. Multiple breaches detected, Lieutenant Santos reported, her hands dancing over the holographic controls. They're not just coming from one direction. They're emerging from between the dimensions themselves. The Void Hunters appeared like living shadows cast by dying stars. Their ships, if they could be called ships, seemed to absorb both light and reality itself. The fleet's sensors struggled to track them, as their forms shifted between dimensions in ways that defied conventional physics. All ships, execute Operation Chaos, Elena ordered, her voice steady despite the terror that threatened to freeze her blood. Remember your training. Every ship, every battle group, fight your own way. Show them what humanity can do. The battle erupted across space in ways that no previous conflict had prepared them for. The Brazilian battle group, led by Admiral Santos, executed maneuvers based on capoeira, their ships moving in fluid, unpredictable patterns that seemed to dance between the enemy's attacks. The Japanese fleet unleashed weapons that folded space like origami, creating geometric patterns of destruction that trapped and crushed the Void Hunters' vessels. Commander O'Neill's voice crackled over the command channel. They're adapting to our standard weapons, but the cultural variants are still effective. They can't predict what they don't understand. Elena watched as the Indian battle group deployed their Karma-class weapons, creating cycles of cause and effect that turned the Void Hunters' attacks back upon themselves. The Nigerian fleet's fractal defense patterns split and reformed, creating mathematical chaos that disrupted the enemy's collective consciousness. But the Void Hunters were horrifyingly efficient. When they consumed a ship, they didn't just destroy it. They absorbed its technology, its concepts, its very essence. Each loss made them stronger, more adaptable. They're learning. Dr. Patel's voice was tense. Each engagement teaches them more about how we think, how we fight. We need to use the Void Lance now, before they understand too much. Elena gritted her teeth. The Void Lance was unstable, untested at full power. Using it could save them all or tear reality apart. But as she watched another ship fall to the darkness, she knew they were running out of options. All ships, fall back to secondary positions, she ordered. Prepare for Operation Lightbringer. The human fleet executed a fighting retreat, each ship and battle group moving according to their own tactical doctrine. The Void Hunters, expecting a coordinated withdrawal, found themselves unable to predict and counter the seemingly chaotic movements. The Hyperion's engines pulsed with dimensional energy as they moved into position. Around them, the remaining ships formed patterns that looked random but followed mathematical principles derived from a combination of architect science and human artistic expression. Void Lance charging, Lieutenant Santos reported. Power readings are off the scale, reality distortion reaching critical levels. Elena took a deep breath. This was the moment that would determine not just humanity's fate, but the fate of all life in the galaxy. They had one chance to prove that humanity's chaotic, creative approach could succeed where the architect's perfect precision had failed. On my mark, she ordered, watching as the Void Hunters gathered for what they thought would be a final devastating attack. Their ships merged into a vast darkness that threatened to swallow everything in its path. The Void Lance hummed with power drawn from the spaces between dimensions themselves, the very domain the Void Hunters thought they controlled. But humanity had done what they always did, looked at the problem differently, found connections no one else had seen, and turned them into a weapon. Now, the lance fired, and reality screamed. Breaking point. The Void Lance's beam struck the heart of the Void Hunter's combined form, and for a moment, everything stopped. Light froze. Time held its breath. Then the spaces between dimensions, the very domain the hunters called home, began to turn against them. Energy patterns are inverting, Dr. Puddle reported, her voice tight with concentration. The lance is working exactly as Maya theorized. It's not just attacking them, it's changing the fundamental nature of their environment. On the Hyperion's dimensional displays, Alina watched as the weapon her species had created did the impossible. The Void Lance wasn't destroying the hunters, it was transforming the void itself, turning their greatest strength into a prison of light and order. But the enemy was far from defeated. The Void Hunters' collective consciousness screamed across dimensional barriers, a sound that made blood vessels burst and minds recoil. Their form began to adapt, trying to absorb and corrupt the lance's energy, just as they had done with countless weapons before. They're learning to counter it, Commander O'Neill warned, conventional adaptation patterns showing in their response. Alina smiled grimly. Exactly as we planned. All ships, execute protocol battle. Across the battlefield, every human vessel began broadcasting different frequencies, different patterns, different approaches to reality itself. The Chinese fleet deployed philosophical paradoxes as weapons. The Australian battle group unleashed chaos patterns based on Aboriginal Dreamtime mathematics. The unified fleet of Africa transmitted rhythms and frequencies derived. The Void Hunters' collective consciousness, trying to adapt to and absorb everything at once, began to fragment. It's working, Dr. Pyle exclaimed. They can't maintain cohesion while processing so many different patterns simultaneously. Their greatest strength is becoming their weakness, Alina finished. All ships push the attack. Every battle group, fight in your own way. Show them everything humanity has to offer. The battle transformed into something beyond conventional warfare. Each human ship and battle group operated independently, creating a symphony of chaos that the highly ordered, collective mind of the Void Hunters couldn't process. Where they expected logic, they found inspiration. Where they sought patterns, they encountered art. The Hyperion system screamed warnings as reality itself buckled under the strain. The Void Lance continued its work, transforming the dimensional spaces the hunters relied on, while humanity's fleet attacked from every conceivable angle, and quite a few that should have been inconceivable. Commander, Interface's voice manifested in Alina's mind, tinged with something that might have been awe. What your species has done, it defies everything we thought possible. You've turned combat into creation, warfare into art. That's humanity for you. Alina responded, watching as another Void Hunter construct collapsed under the assault of what appeared to be weaponized jazz music from the New Orleans battle group. We've never been good at following rules, even the rules of reality. The battle reached its crescendo. The Void Hunters, their collective consciousness fragmented by the assault of 1,000 different human approaches, began to break apart. Their attempt to absorb and understand everything at once had overloaded their capacity to maintain unity. Energy readings are critical, Lieutenant Santos reported. The Lance is reaching maximum penetration of dimensional barriers. Alina took a deep breath. All ships, final assault pattern. Show them everything at once. Hold nothing back. The human fleet responded with a display that would be remembered for generations. Every ship, every weapon, every defense system operating on different principles, all working together in a chaos so perfect it became art. The Void Hunters, faced with the full expression of human creativity and determination, finally reached their breaking point. Their dissolution was like watching a shadow be consumed by light. The transformed void, now hostile to their very existence, pulled their fragmented consciousness apart. Their final scream echoed across dimensions, not in rage or pain, but in something that might have been understanding. As the last traces of the Void Hunters faded from reality, Interface's presence touched Alina's mind one final time. We sought perfection, the ancient being mused, and found only stagnation. You embraced chaos, imperfection, diversity, and in doing so, achieved something greater than perfection could ever be. Elena looked at her crew, humans from every corner of Earth, each bringing their own perspective, their own approach, their own piece of humanity's infinite variety. "We never tried to be perfect," she said. "We just tried to be human." The fleet regrouped, ships bearing scars from battles fought across multiple dimensions. They had faced an enemy that had terrified even the mighty architects, and they had won not through superior technology or overwhelming force, but through the very qualities that made them human: creativity, diversity, and the ability to find inspiration in chaos. As the Hyperion set course for Earth, Elena thought about the future. The architects' knowledge was still theirs to use, but now they would use it their way, not seeking perfect solutions, but embracing the beautiful chaos of human innovation. The void between stars was quiet now, transformed by human ingenuity into something new. And in that transformed void, humanity looked to the future not with fear, but with the same curiosity and creativity that had saved them all. After all, there were still mysteries to solve, frontiers to explore, and an entire universe waiting to see what humanity would do next. And if their solution to those challenges wasn't perfect, well, that was exactly the point.